So your body needs optimization every single day. Your sales skills needs optimization every single day. You can't stop training it. You can't stop practicing it. What worked 10 years ago, not working today. What's not working today may not work, 10 years from now.
Welcome everyone to the Close More Sales podcast. On today's episode, I have Esteban Andrade, who I'm super excited to interview. He started out as just an Uber driver and then went to engineer and finally started crushing it in sales and is now the co-founder of a recruiting company and that's so much more, and owner of a media company as well. And he breaks down all the things he goes over in regards to the lessons he learned getting good at sales, how he applied that to other aspects of his life. And there's a lot of mindset and self-accountability techniques that you can apply that we go over along the way. But why should you listen? Why should you listen to the show in general? Our purpose, the purpose of this podcast, is to empower sales professionals and entrepreneurs to push themselves to grow, achieve unimaginable success without burning out, and ultimately transform their lives. I'm Ian Ross, and I am obsessed with all things sales. And I work with teams across the country to make more money by asking better questions. The most proven path to achieving financial freedom is maximizing your earning potential. And a sales role is the lowest barrier with the highest possible ceiling for entry onto that path. Anyone can become a killer salesperson with the right techniques, mindset, and consistency. Everything we cover here is geared towards one thing: helping you close more sales so that you can live the life you want. This is a newer podcast, so we are in the growth stage. If you get any value from today's episode, from what Esteban says, follow, subscribe, all that jazz. Let us know either in the comments on YouTube or in a review wherever you listen to podcasts. Tell us what it is you got out of the show. But more importantly, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your coworkers who you think could also get value from what we talk about. If you have conversations where how well you speak determines how much money you can make, you are in a sales role. I know Esteban agrees with me about that. If you would like to get better at what you do, text CLOSE, C-L-O-S-E, to 33777, and we'll see if we can help you out along the process. That being said, let's get to my interview with Esteban. Esteban, welcome to the Close More Sales podcast.
Thanks for having me here, man. It's an honor.
Of course.
Close More Sales podcast.
Sure. So my first question is always pretty simple.
Yeah.
If you were to imagine your life if you'd never gotten into sales, never explored real estate at all, what would your life look like right now?
I was always seeking to help people. When I was driving for Uber, I was seeking to know how to have the experience of my passengers the best, and seeking how to even learn from them and the mistakes that I was doing to get the most score in my Uber. But when I was an engineer, the same thing. I was seeking how do I get my engineering job to help more people. But if I got stuck in that engineering position that I had, I probably could have been in a more of a leadership position where I was able to help more people, because as a solo engineer, you can always help the designers that you manage, the programmers, all these people that do all this technical stuff, help them do their stuff. But I was never really able to use my interpersonal skills and things that I wanted to do to help more people. And I feel like the question you're asking me is, I probably would have never seen sales until I realized that it's the main component of business.
Okay.
Yeah, and so when I was an engineer, I had to do engineering things. I always seek to help people. And then COVID actually made me realize that the best thing that could ever happen to me was go to business, right? Because I got actually laid off during COVID. And it was a chance for me to, kind of take a little bit of breath and be like, okay, what do I do now? Make immediate, fast decisions. And the business was the thing. And I had a side hustle. And even though I didn't know what I was doing in terms of business, I wanted to help people, and that side hustle helped me, help more people, which is, generate leads for business owners, small business owners. It run advertising, and eventually, help them, understand how to convert those deals, and then eventually, we're 3.5 years in, also shape up their team.
Okay. Okay. So at what point into the I'm fired from my engineering job now, this is a blessing in disguise, which is often how I think about the same types of challenges. At what point after that did you say, okay, like time to pick up some sales skills and figure this out from here?
It was at the moment that I needed to here. There's a few ways for you to build your business, right? For you to grow grow your company. You get more clients. You get your clients to pay you more, and you get your clients to pay you more frequently. So continuously paying you over and over. In order for you to get more clients, you obviously need to continuously generate more leads
Sure.
and do sales. But how do you get your clients to actually pay you more? There's different things. You can sell them more things. You can package your thing more expensive, right? And I don't know, maybe you can just change to a higher ticket product for somehow. But like in order to do that, you really need to master something else, which is understanding that sales is a methodology. That sales is a science. That sales is a formula. That sales is something that if you don't master it, I'm not gonna be able to like get more clients, get them to pay me more, and get them to frequently come in to me, right? So at some point, man, I was just winging it. I was just using my hustle and my I don't want to call it desperation, but like I was using my entire passion of the product to sell the product.
Sure.
Right. I was just passionate about it. I was convicted. I had so much confidence about it that I feel that actually sold the things that I needed to sell.
Okay.
But there was a time where I started getting like objections, and like people, would tell me, well, I need to think about it. There's another competitor. There is, there different things that I just couldn't really answer or like handle it. And I'll be like, why? Just why? I don't understand. You know what I mean? And at that time, man, it's not like I went to get help from sales. I think sales came here to help me.
Okay.
Right? I didn't go seek help, get help from sales. It just made sense that the sales training and getting sales knowledge just came to me. I signed up for a coaching program that actually helped me how to generate more leads, more understand how to generate a better agency, create a better agency, scale my business, run ads. But the most important component that I learned from that is called Agency Lab. From that program is that you're never going, even though your product is the most well-known product in the marketplace, or you run a lot of ads, you talk to a lot of people, if you don't get them through the door, especially when it's time to show the price or ask for the price or say, how much it's going to be in order for them to move forward with you, if you don't know how to get them through that, nothing else matters.
Sure.
Your ad cost goes to shit. Whatever cold call you did, 100 cold calls to generate that lead goes to shit. You know what I mean? Everything goes to shit if you don't get them through the door, right?
Okay.
So I had that one mentor that really told me, Esteban, like, I love your enthusiasm. I love your passion. I know that you believe in helping people. But do you know that do you know that there is like a step-by-step process? Do you know that there is a formula? Do you know that all the objections that you're getting are for a reason? Do you know that to start the call is not just be like, "Hey man, what's up? What's going on?" There is a specific reason why the best companies in the world have an onboarding process, make you feel an experience. And therefore there's a reason why you as an individual that is doing sales in your business or you're a solopreneur have to make them have an experience as well as soon as they come into your business. So the very first conversation is that experience. You should give them experience.
Okay, yeah. I first off completely agree. And you're describing a pretty common situation for a lot of people getting into sales, for people who are people, right? They've got charisma, they know how to have conversations and be energetic. And at a certain point, that can get you kind of like almost half of the way there, depending on the product and your level of enthusiasm. But then you hit that critical point that everyone who has that same experience hits, which is what happens when my charisma, my enthusiasm, my conviction that this helps you hits the roadblock of an objection. What happens when someone says, but I got to talk to this other person, or man, I saw a cheaper price somewhere else. How come you're charging more? How do you deal with that? And you hit that point. So you said sales training found you when you were hitting those challenges. Do you remember a point when you started that coaching program and you're taking those sales calls where you started implementing some of the things you'd learned and you like noticed that they were working? That just being charismatic got you a certain, maybe halfway there, but actually getting over the finish line with everyone else, you started to be like, oh my gosh, that worked. Do you remember any instances of that?
Absolutely, man. Even like the first time that I did is it a takeaway? It's called the takeaway, I think so. Yeah, the first time that I did it, I was so scared to pushing them away from me, right? But when I heard that is a technique, because psychologically they do want it, but like they're giving you these false objections or these false excuses. Be like, hey man, you know what? Considering everything you tell me, I feel like it doesn't work. It's not gonna work for us. So you might as well go and look somewhere else. And they'll be like, wait, no, hold on. I do want to work with you. There's something in their mind at that time where it's like, I haven't told this guy everything that it's in my mind and he's trying to push me away, right? So at the end of the day, so sales is helping, sales is leading, right? Sales is also understanding truly your avatar and psychology and their true pain points. And at the end of the day, that's what it is. Sales is a combination. It's a result. Okay, sales equals making someone else do the best decision in their life, whether it's working with you or someone else, right? Obviously, we want them to work with us, sure, right? But it's truly having an understanding of the deep things that are blocking their mind, blocking them, whether that's logistically, whether that's something that has to do with fear in their mind, and it's helping them go through that process. So that's when I realized, like, this is incredible. I love sales. I remember, like, in 2021, dude, I was every single day going to sales trainings from that coaching in Agency Lab for agencies. And I was like, I'm never going to miss a sales training this year ever again. Every single time I get something new and I apply it, and all of a sudden it's a sales done, right? Like a closing done, or someone to accept it. You know, sometimes you have to overcome or help people overcome the fear of making a decision, even though in their head it's a done deal, but there's something that is blocking them, right? It's themselves or their ability to make decisions, or that they don't have anyone to talk to about making a decision, right?
Got it. Okay. So what you did a takeaway. Yeah. And it worked, right? You're terrified to do it. So common. I mean, a lot of the way we train for people who are newer to sales, they're being like, but I can't say that. What, you want me to act like I don't need this business? I need it. And they come off with commission breath and super forceful and have no sort of frame or status as a salesperson, very needy. I'm just following up, just hoping I can help you out, rather than being like, yeah, if this doesn't make sense for you, we wish you the best of luck. And then suddenly they go, oh, this is someone I want to work with. So that was one technique. So how did you were going to a lot of sales trainings, it sounds like. What was the process of starting to implement that? Because you were mentioning taking nuggets and being like, oh, I'm gonna use that from that one training. Oh, I've been saying that a little bit wrong, right? You're iterating and improving, which is exactly how I got good at sales. What was the process of actually starting to include those in your conversations?
Well, first of all, is having a ton of conversations, and having the ability to, even if you have a pipeline of past people, and you want to call them, and implement that in the past leads that you have in your pipeline, and you already talked to them. Like, there's nothing wrong about going back to them and applying something that you already did, but also doing that of people that don't know you, never heard of you. They came from an ad lead generation marketing channel. Could be cold call, cold outbound DMs. Could be paid advertising, and just knowing that you're gonna have hundreds of these conversations, but they're always gonna have maybe one or two of these conversations in their life about this product, this service, or whatever. Only one or two, but you've had 100. So that means that every conversation that they're gonna have is gonna be one of the most impactful conversations for them. So make it the best, right? So I was like, I'm gonna make sure that every single time that a person comes and talks to me, they have an experience. It's like a full experience. From the time that they introduce themselves to me, and I introduce myself back to them, and I connect with them, and then what type of feeling do I make them have from the very beginning, to the setting the frame or the agenda, right? And then diving into their problems or diving into their challenge. But I want them to feel so good that every question that I ask is not uncomfortable, but it does make them open up to me, make them like, I don't know if your listeners know about Socratic questioning. I love Socratic questioning.
So do I.
It makes your brain or their brain open up so much, because they've never thought about the things that you're asking them in their life. So it's a transformational type of conversation that you end up doing, and like they feel like they kind of feel like they're going to a psychologist. They kind of feel like they're going to some sort of, I don't know, someone that really understands them, right? Someone that really wants to hear them. And sometimes people want to go over, skipping through all the important things and want to go over like the pitch. I just had an interview with someone that for a sales position, and he asked me, we were doing a role play, and it was the person. He asked me, okay, so why didn't you, did you already do this before? Oh yeah, I tried it myself. Oh, so the reason why you're here is because you tried it yourself and didn't work? Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, this is me role playing. Yeah, I actually tried it myself, didn't work. Now I want someone to do this for me. Oh, okay, so that's your problem. No, you're skipping the main thing. Like, this is the feature that they tried. Like, the service that they tried it themselves is just a feature, right? The real problems are the things that you're not currently asking. Like, what are the deeper things that are happening in their personal life, in their business, that are really causing them a lot of challenges? And what are the things that they want to achieve that all these pains, all these challenges are not allowing them to do? And when you ask these questions, they're gonna see this bridge. They're gonna see this gap that they've never ever seen. And you do that by asking Socratic questions, right? Because that's what I call the experience, right? The experience is making them see something so clear that even if they left your call, after they leave their call, they'll be like, huh, can I know what my real problem is right now? I kind of know like really what I need to do. I'm going to thank that person. I'm going to remember that person. And now when you follow up with that person, they feel good about you, right? I might be like maybe talking about very general terms right now, but um, that's why you have to have a sales process.
Sure. Sure. I
Yeah.
love that. Also, I love that your process of iterating and improving was customer focused. You were thinking about giving them the best possible experience.
Yeah.
And to make sure you could do that, you constantly had to learn more and get better. I'll be honest, when I was trying to get better and iterating and improving my own sales process, thinking about my own question, it was far more solipsistic and sort of self-focused. I was like, I want to be the best salesperson. I love that you were more like, I want to give them the best experience.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I like that.
You know who inspired me? Jeff Bezos.
Okay.
So Jeff Bezos said one of his core values actually says, I'm so focused on the experience of my users, of my customers, not focused about the competition. I want I want the experience for them to be the very best in the world.
And you applied that to your sales
I
conversations.
apply that to my sales conversations, right? Like, they need to love you, even if they don't, even if they don't buy, and then you challenge them, and then you try to get a deposit for them. Like, at the end of the day, they're gonna appreciate it. They need to appreciate having a conversation with you, right? Otherwise, you're not. Otherwise, you're not actually doing real conversation. You're not having a high quality conversation.
You might as well be an AI bot.
Correct. You might as well be a customer service rep.
Sure.
As well. Like, be like, hello. No.
I can just list off the features about here's the date, here's the cost, here's the
Exactly.
Right. Talk, because I haven't brought this up on the podcast before, so I love that you brought this up. Talk a little bit about incorporating Socratic questions to a prospect to get them to maybe even realize that they didn't quite know where their problem was coming from. Like, talk to me a little bit about that process.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes prospects really just respond to you very surface level, and I would say almost all the time. Like, so for example, like, okay, so let's say for example you need to sell a house. All right, so you need to sell a house. All right. Or let's say the conversation start, oh, so what makes you book a call with us today? Oh, I need to sell my house. That is just a transactional thing, right? But like, okay, so what from selling your house, like what is it that selling your house is going to do to you? That is a question that might open up way more possibilities to find the real thing. And that ultimately you can get more questions out of it, but it's going to make them think, right? Because like at the end of the day, sellers, or let's say for example you're just selling yourself you're selling something and you want people to buy, they don't really want to tell you the truth all the time, right? Like,
very true.
They don't want to tell you the truth. Some of them are going to lie. Some of them are going to just tell you the surface thing because they don't know you. They don't know you, right? Like, you're just a random stranger that has something to sell that could potentially take advantage of them. So when you ask those type of questions and you ask it in a way that it shows empathy, then people are going to be able to open up with you, right? So that's why the beautiful thing about asking those type of questions in your framework,
got it,
made everything better. Yeah,
actually getting to the real motivation. Yeah, we talk about that all the time. Let's say we're trying to get someone to sell us their house, and most people, when the homeowner you're talking to gives you a surface level answer, most certainly newer salespeople will stay surface level with them, rather than understanding, okay, well, what, like you clicked on an ad. What is it in the ad that stood out to you? Sell your home quick. Gotcha. Is there a reason that quick would be important to you? Like, understanding that reason. And then once they actually start to reveal their motivation, what we often look for is the pain, AKA negative feelings associated with that motivation behind that reason. So for instance, if they say, well, I need to sell my home quick because I got it, I'm getting notices from a bank and it's just, I just need to get this done. So many salespeople just leave it there rather than us going, oh man, there's notices from the bank. How long has that been going on? Tell me more about that. Man, what happened that made you start getting those notices? Did your hours get cut back? Did you lose your job entirely? Did you have medical bills? Gosh, and then the other challenges from that, the foreclosure notice, that's just a symptom as well. How's this been affecting things at home? What's this been like for you personally? Has your sleep been affected? When you start exploring stuff like that and having a considered intentional approach to your tonality as well. Because most salespeople, they think they might see that written out and ask it in a way that upsets the person they're talking to because they haven't built real rapport, they haven't built trust with the person. But if you are intentional with your tonality and are able to sound like a curious, trusted advisor, people open up and they tell you their real motivation, their real pain, and you can actually solve their problem. So I love all that.
Yeah.
I'd love to ask, so you're starting to do that stuff. How did you keep the momentum going? Or like at what point did you feel like this is starting to take off and I'm doing better at sales now? Like this is working.
Well, here I'm gonna give you some two formulas that I learned from Alex Ramosi about sales, and it makes total sense. He says that skills times work ethic equals volume in sales.
Okay.
Okay. Skills times conviction equals higher closing percentage.
Okay. Sure.
In both formulas, there is a skills, right? So the more that you actually put in the time, the more you actually start working harder and stuff like that, and you always using your skills, you're going to be able to sell more. The more that you have conviction in your product and you show the confidence and everything, plus the skills, then you're going to be able to close at a higher percentage, right? So everything started to click when I packed up my sales calendar with a bunch of appointments. And all this started to like helping me just have several conversations where a lot of them didn't work. I started having feedback loops with my coach where I show them the recordings of my calls. I will just listen to my recordings at night because something happened, I didn't close for some reason, and then I'll have feedback loops with myself, right? That started to like really to help me develop the skills because I was getting feedback loops from two different people.
Okay.
I started getting feedback loops from my own self-realization that I did something wrong, and also someone else, a third party that had way better experience than me, and I'll bring in that sales call to that call. That was the coaching calls, right? And then I also made sure that I was positioned in the sales call as someone that actually transfers so much confidence that this is something that can be solved, that this is the best product in the world, that I'm gonna take care of them, right? Like they came into the best company to solve that issue, right? And using my skill sets, then that helped me ultimately close a lot more, right? So it was a combination of great feedback loops that I had, repetition, doing it a lot, right? And just always positioning myself as the authority in the call, but they're transferring that emotion that I need to transfer to the prospect throughout the entire call. All of that started clicking, and I started to sell way more, of course, because I started doing it a lot. I got too busy where at the point that I needed to hire someone else to help me.
Sure.
But everything started clicking by really just training and going back to the trainings and like doing role plays also with my coach and stuff like that, and having a like a group of sales people that are also learning and are also at a good level or a better level than me, role playing with them, right? Role playing, objection handling, all of that is when everything started to click.
Got it. I've seen your social media. I love one of the things I love in your social media is you calling out entrepreneurs and business owners for not taking care of their bodies and not going to the gym a little bit. Always cracks me up. The reason I bring that up is because so many people don't realize that the way to get good at sales conversations and do stuff like that is the same way you would improve your body. You can't go to the gym once and then you're stronger. It requires reps. It requires practice. It requires feedback. Oh, my form's not quite right. Now when I'm doing reps, I'll get even better improvement over time. It's the same approach. People, because it's up here and it's a soft skill, it's coming out of your mouth, people don't want to realize that it's just the same type of thing as improving your body, improving your physicality. Your brain and your tongue are in your body.
Yeah.
If you improve those things, it's the same idea as getting your arms stronger. So I love that doing the reps and then getting feedback as you were doing it started to give you that transformation.
That's honestly one of the best ways to do it. You know what I mean? Like, yes, throwing yourself in the fire always works. Also, reading the different methodologies that exist out there. For example, I read Jeremy Miner's or took Jeremy Miner's stuff.
Sure.
Jordan Belfort stuff, Sandler's stuff. And I got something out of them because at the end of the day, you create your own style, or you have a style specifically from people that you have molded themselves with, right? Like there's different sales styles.
Sure, of course.
There's different sales styles. RJ Bates does it differently than you guys, you know what I mean?
Yeah, very sure.
And it's okay, at the end of the day, we choose what type of style or process we want to do it. But the same principles at the end of the day apply, right? So for example, I read Never Split the Difference. And one of the few things that he said during that is that you can practice, for example, mirroring and labeling. Mirroring and labeling, you can practice it with your spouse, with your friends, with your mom, and it works.
It really does. It really does.
Right?
Yeah.
So you practice in a day-to-day and these specific skills that then you apply it in the field, in the sales field, it just makes you better, right? Like I'm a high believer of Kaizen methodology from the Japanese culture.
Okay.
That you always need to be optimized. You always need to seek optimization. There's always betterment. Because life goes by, time goes by, you get older. It means that everything just get like fluffy and everything just, so your body needs optimization every single day. Your brain needs optimization. Your sales skills needs optimization every single day. You can't stop training it. You can't stop practicing it. What worked 10 years ago is not going to work. Is not working today. And what's not working today may not work, 10 years from now. And it's all about that.
Got it. Yeah. You mentioned, so Jordan Belfort was the first sales content that I really absorbed. And hearing you talk about like the transference of certainty, I could definitely tell that you've been exposed to some of that stuff. You mentioned, going through Jeremy Miner, Sandler, stuff like that. Sandler we're heavily inspired by. Of the different things you've gone through, the different methodologies, the gurus, right, whatever, that you've gone through these different trainings, in terms of thinking about your sales style now, that you've adapted, you've been picking something from this source. Oh, I'm going to take that from over here. Oh, I love that question from Jeremy Miner. Oh, I love that tone over here. When you think about that, how would you classify your current sales style if you think about all the influences that informed it?
For sure. I think it has evolved. At some point, I was very Sandler type of methodology. And, I never really read the book like you can't
teach a kid to ride a bike at a seminar.
Yeah.
Yeah. The worst name for a great book.
But I knew what it was all about because
Yeah.
I would take trainings around that and, everyone that I would learn sales from, would talk about it and stuff. Then I started applying a lot of Jeremy Miner stuff, but then there's certain situations where, for example, I'm a very bold, direct individual where, for example, Jordan Belfort fits a lot better for that.
Yeah,
for
very
that
true.
type of people.
Very
You know what I
true.
mean? It's very true, right? So I'm like, I like the way that he handles that, right? And how would he do it? You know what? I'm a nerd, and one time I literally trained a ChatGPT chat on to be Jeremy Miner, and
Okay.
another one to be Jordan Belfort.
Okay.
So I gave them different objections or different situations and how they would have handled it, right? I started asking Jeremy Minor ChatGPT, and I started asking Jordan Belfort ChatGPT and how they would have handled it. I love Jeremy Minor in a lot of the things that he's asking, but Jordan Belfort, the way that he does it, I absolutely love it. Right, like the way that he flips the coin and like shifts people's mind right away to make a very certain decision. I love that. You know what I mean? So, and it's also bold. It's very direct. So I started using that a lot more in different situations, like for example, challenging people in terms of when they are when you drop the price, or when the time of signing the contract or accepting something, like you have to sometimes be able to challenge prospects and challenge their beliefs, because that's the only thing that is ultimately stopping them from making a clear, good decision for their life, right? So I started like focusing a lot and learning about Jordan Belfort more and more and more, and how they would do it. But my process, the discovery process, for example, is very psychologist, very Jeremy Minor-ish.
I love that. So
You know what I mean?
when you're in more of the discovery phase, you're much more curious. Yeah, help me figure out how you could possibly do that. And then when it comes time to have the conviction to go for the close, you feel yourself resonating a little bit more with
Oh yeah,
the Wolf of Wall Street.
yes,
Awesome. That's a fun way to think about that.
Yeah.
I love that. Glad I asked that question. I know you're in a quite a few like masterminds. I know you believe in investing in your skills, investing in the rooms that you're in and the people you're going to be around to learn from. What are some of the like more significant investments? It doesn't have to be the price, just thinking about what you've invested in regarding that self-improvement of getting better at having conversations, of being in the right rooms with the right people. Like, what are some of those things for you?
The best investments that I've done so far. Well, the most expensive one has been one-on-ones for CEO coaching.
That'll do it.
But
Yeah.
the best investments that I've done so far, and I kid you not, it's not because it's because this podcast is Close More Sales. When I did my agency lab and I was learning under a guy called Sergio Tavares, he's a boss guy. He does well on social media too, and he helps people. Actually, he's very philosophical. He loves the way he explains things is very philosophical. So because he fused philosophy with sales, and he would explain and also ask in a very philosophical way questions as well, which is
Socratic questioning.
Socratic questioning. That completely changed my life, right? Like I feel like I want to become a lot more like that. I want to be able to learn that part of the philosophy, to be able to explain theories, explain things and beliefs, and such, that made me give me so much impact in my life, that was the best investment I ever had. Learning under someone that could explain to you things in a philosophical way, giving them analogies, giving metaphors and things that make sense about human behavior and why they make decisions, don't take decisions, and things like that.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense. If you're especially talking about coming this from a client-centric point of view, from getting them to potentially change their internal beliefs that they didn't even know that they held, it makes sense that would be a natural extension for you. I'd love to ask you this too then, because this leads me right into it. Outside of obviously the financial aspect, because one of the things I love about sales is that you are in control of your income, what are some of the other things that getting good at sales has sort of given you in your life? What are some of the other benefits of learning these skills, learning how to ask questions, how to ask the right questions of yourself, let alone other people?
Dude.
What else has this given you?
So it's directly correlated in how well of a leader you can turn out, how well of a coach you can turn out, how well of a father, how well of a picking up girls, being a good husband as well.
Yeah,
it helps you.
It does. Yeah,
trust me. And
I believe you.
I feel like sales is the root for a lot of the major things that are happening right now. Like, if you're a good leader, you're probably good at sales. If you are and you don't know, you may not know that you're good at sales, but you are, because like leading, right, is influencing people, right,
Yeah.
without forcing them to do something.
Yeah, getting them to buy into a vision,
To
buy into you,
vision,
buy into the future,
which means that you're good at sales.
Yeah, very true.
Picking up chicks, picking up women, right? It means that at some point you potentially end up generating a lead by doing cold traffic, and then you get their attention. But then at the moment of like getting to know them, making them laugh, discovering them, and then closing, it's all sales.
Sure.
I'm just giving you an example.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Coaching.
I, as a married man, have no idea what you're talking about, but I'll have to take your word for it.
It's true. Hey, if you want to pick up more women, get good at sales.
You heard it here on the Close More Sales podcast.
Coaching. Like with coaching, the sales process, like if you want to get the best coaching and sales book ever, The Extraordinary Coach, it teaches you the framework of coaching and how extraordinary, the best coaches in the world actually influence others and lead others to become their better versions. It's all sales. It's all freaking sales. All right. The same framework you apply during a sales conversation with your prospect. I'm just telling you this because that's how it is. You know what I mean? Is there any other thing that I said? Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. So if you're, I love that answer. Regarding thinking about your career right now and what you're doing, what are some of the major hurdles for you? What are some of the things you have to overcome, either in the types of sales conversations you're having, or it could be bigger than that? It could be something, you mentioned that leadership is sales, so it could be a different type of sales in terms of leadership. Something outside of that, like what are your challenges right now?
Managing sales people.
Yeah, sure.
And finding talent.
Yeah.
That does it. And
that's also manageable. That's the other thing. Yeah, you might be able to find someone who's highly talented, but they're unmanageable.
Correct.
That can happen a lot.
So yeah, like I know that there's a lot of people that are not necessarily full blown businesses, but the next step of doing sales yourself is other people doing the sales for you, and it's going to be one of the biggest leverages that you pull, because now you're going to, with one output you get double the results, or 5 times the results, 10 times the results. But in order to do that, you have to become a great sales manager. In order to become a sales manager, you need to be able to know what it takes to actually have these emotional human beings that are salespeople, and take them from generating leads, closing deals, going through ruts of not closing deals, motivating them, showing up every single day, leading through example, making sure that they keep track of their KPIs, because they gotta know where they need to be, where they're at, where they need to be at, and why they are where they need to be at. And most of the time, it comes down to they stop actually sharpening their sword. They stop training. They stop listening to their sales calls. They stop really understanding how to go about the entire conversation. They forgot to ask a few questions, and now they got themselves into a can of worms. They still struggle with objections, and because they're not role playing those objections, for example, that is the biggest thing for me. Even though I just hired a sales manager, and he does a fine job, still even now managing the sales manager,
of course,
to make sure
it's its own thing too,
and creating the systems for it.
Yeah. So, man, does that resonate with me right now? Because you touched on a thing that very much is directly in line with my own personal journey, which is that for me, getting into sales, and by extension, getting good at sales, was the sort of rocket ship that I grabbed onto that led me towards other aspects of personal development, taking better care of my body, taking better care of my sleep, of my relationships, of trying to be a better communicator in all aspects and trying to be a better leader. That same way all came from trying to have a better paycheck at sales. It was just an extension of that. So yeah, you mentioned that point of, you're hiring salespeople, finding talent, but then the inevitability happens, which is that many salespeople get to a certain level of growth and they kind of coast. They get comfortable, and salespeople it's basically, you're like a shark. If you stop moving, if you're not dead already, you're destined to die. You're about to die. So obviously you're still working through it yourself. I am as well, by the way. But if you were to think about, let's say if you were giving advice to me about how to think about making sure the salespeople you've hired continue to be in pursuit of their own personal development, like, what advice would you even give me?
Well, how's your current personal life right now? How are you training yourself outside of work? What's the energy levels that you currently have? What beliefs do you currently have that make you feel that you're not closing deals? Do you really believe that that's the thing? Like, have you reviewed your calls over and over for different scenarios? Have you showed someone else to give you a third-party opinion about your calls?
These are questions you're asking a salesperson.
Yeah, I would ask the salesperson these questions, right?
Yeah.
So tell me more about why you feel like that person gave you that objection. Why? What was missing from this conversation? What do you feel was missing from this conversation? At the end of the day, it's also Socratic questions.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
What if the answers that the salesperson is giving you through the Socratic questioning, as you're saying, basically the equivalent of the kid saying why over and over again? What if the questions aren't revealing personal accountability, or they're blaming stuff that's outside of their control? They don't seem like the person they hired, maybe because they're in a rut, maybe because their personal life, something that's unrelated to their job entirely, is affecting them in a way that's coming off negatively in how they have conversation, close deals. Well, how do you get them to realize that?
Well, first I would challenge them. And so I would challenge myself too if I was in that position too, because as an entrepreneur, you need to develop skills, and you need to develop a specific behavior, right? So, but you can't develop skills and you can't develop specific behavior, let's say like top A plus behavior and top A plus skills, if you don't have the right character traits that allow you to learn to get those skills, to get to that behavior. Those character traits is like, am I optimistic? Am I, open-minded? Am I always willing to hear from, not only my own conclusions, but other people's ideas? Like you have to have specific character traits that you need to first develop and understand. If someone else is telling you something, or something is not working, there's always a why. And so ask yourself why 100 times, or ask someone to ask you why 100 times. And then if you start saying things that don't make sense, you're lying to yourself, right? But if you are truth to yourself, you're going to find the root cause of everything. And most of the time is like things that you don't even see. So those character traits, like your character is not allowing you to do it. You're not literally open-minded. You're not hardworking. You're not so, and then you're going to be able to learn skills better, get better at those skills, get a better behavior that would get you to where you need to be at. So that's how I would do it.
Got it. If you were to be speaking to, because I'm sure going through your own journey, I'm sure it should not be dissimilar to my sort of thought process. If you were to be speaking to Esteban back when he was just starting driving for Uber, who had whatever set of beliefs he had then, was in whatever circumstance he was in then, and you were to try and give him advice in regards to either life or getting into sales, whatever it is, talking to someone not that long ago, but maybe feels like a million years ago in terms of how you identify, right? The growth and what's going on inside. What would you want to say to him?
This is tough. You have to understand that there's always a risk for you to fail. There's always a risk for you to not accomplish the things that you think it's gonna be accomplished, and there's always a risk for something to go wrong. But what I've learned, what Esteban 3.0, because I went through 3 revolutions, have learned is that
I love that.
The faster you make decisions, the faster that you understand whether it worked or not, but also the faster that you already are ahead of yourself. Where you actually are ahead of the game of your own game. So speed is what changes everything for you. Investing in that program, getting that system, quitting the job, asking the girl out, right? Sending the DM, right? Like a speed will help you identify what could have been identified in 5 months in 5 hours, or what could have been identified in 5 years in just 5 days or 5 weeks, right? So at that time, I did not identify that I had everything that it takes to run a successful business. And I waited for like almost 3 years because I did not make a quick decision, right? Look, like I remember like Gary Vee said one time, so I don't know if this is even relevant, but patience and pressure, what happens in between is the diamond, right? You have to be patient, but you also have to go with the pressure. And you put yourself pressure by making good decisions. And you're patient because you know that things are going to go, and you're not going to like go into the depressing mode, or you're not going to cry about it. You know the things at some point are going to eventually, sort out themselves. But the pressure and pressure and patience is what creates a diamond. Because like pressure to the carbon, and it's a long time, right? That's what creates diamonds.
Sure. So to create quick decisions, but be patient on the results and the outcome.
100%.
If I can speed up how long it takes me to decide to quit that job, to decide to invest in this program, to ask that pretty girl out on a date, if I can just lower that barrier to action, and at the same time embrace the mindset that the results from that require patience.
Yes.
That's where the diamond's made.
Correct.
Love that.
You're going to become a diamond.
I love that. I'll put a little context for my own self. If I were to think about myself even before I got into sales at all, I was trying to become a computer programmer briefly. And one of the things while I was struggling at that I wish I could sort of just go back and give myself a message on would be, it sounds so naive to even sort of say it out loud, because I hadn't thought of this question before. This was sort of off the top of my head, is that I didn't realize that choosing to take personal responsibility for everything is the best way to have a better life. It's like I just didn't know that if I felt responsible for everything going wrong as well as everything going right, it's the best way to improve my life. I just didn't have that value. I felt like no one had told me, or if they had, I hadn't heard it, and if I could have just snapped my fingers sooner and had been like, oh, if everything going wrong is my fault, I can fix it, rather than going, oh, something's wrong and it's not my fault, boo-hoo.
You're never going to learn.
Yeah, you're never going to learn.
Like, you're going to have the same behavior to the same circumstance, which means that you don't learn. if you have a different behavior for the same for same circumstances, then you have learned. Like even it's applicable in sales. Like I was talking about optimization. If that person told me no, it's my fault. Like I'm gonna go back to the sales conversation that is recorded. Always record your sales conversations, and I'm going to listen to my tonality, listen to my questions, listen to the time that I asked the questions, listen to like how much did I actually listen, actively listening, and it's my fault. If that person didn't buy from me, it's my fault.
It wasn't until sales that I realized that.
Yeah.
And so by realizing that through sales, then I got to apply that to all the other aspects of my life. That was the kind of like, for me, one of the biggest changes. If you were to define success for yourself with how you have things set up right now, well, like if you were thinking like 2024 is a success because you're doing a bunch of things. First off, just catch me up on everything you're doing right now. And then after you sort of break those down, because I know you're doing a bunch, what would success look like for 2024 with those things?
Yeah, I have achieved one of the best mental states that I've been in. Also, I have achieved one of the best healthy states that I've been in forever. When I was building my business, it was like very stressful, anxious. Like you said, like everything, to be honest, is fixable. You just have to have patience and like we're gonna make it happen. Like you're gonna make it happen. You put in the work, things are gonna make it happen. Right now we're at a point where I have two companies. One is co-founded. The other one is just me, not solo because I have a large team, but it's just I'm the full owner. And these two companies are gonna fuse to create something amazing with REIpreneurs. We're going to help people for free on a lot of education, mindset, a lot of things they need to learn about real estate investing, wholesaling, marketing skills, sales skills. You've been to the objection handling calls and everything. But we want to help 10,000 real estate investors and wholesalers create the best systems that they could and also grow with the best team that they can. And that can be done through, proper systems. You create a company with proper systems, right? Where you learn how to get a proper foundation for your company, and you scale a company through proper talented people. And the remote Latinos will have a marketplace that you can actually go choose your talented individual that is going to be matched based on your profile. And the algorithm is going to give you the top 5 to 10, best individuals that you can hire for any role that you want for your company. Everything is remotely. Like everyone is now working remotely. You said it yourself one time. From lead manager to cold caller, appointment setter, to acquisitions, to dispo manager, dispo support, executive assistant, videographer, even team leads, we're ready to literally deploy our talent to the world because we're going to have one of the best marketplaces called remotelatinos.com, and people can find the best Juan, Maria, Estebans from Colombia, Mexico,
Sure.
South America, and yeah, people are used to like Filipinos, sure,
yeah.
But there is a lot of opportunity to find highly qualified, highly talented, hardworking, non-entitled people in Latin America.
I love that. I love that. What would you say? I wish you the best of luck with that. I have confidence you guys will pull that off. What would you say is do you have a single biggest learning experience, maybe even just within the last 3 years, where you can just point to it and be like, boy, did I get it. Like maybe I learned multiple lessons from this one event, this one challenge, or this one win, or anything like that?
At the end of the day, everything comes down to your own decision. You can get so many different feedbacks and like coaching from different people, and like at the end, something's gonna work. You gotta choose one thing. You're going to make your own decision. And sometimes it's going to so many different opinions and like so many different coaches and signing up for so many different like courses and things like that can literally confuse you and create such a analysis paralysis effect, right? So choose one mentor that really resonates with you. It doesn't have to like there's great mentors out there that their personality sucks,
Sure.
right? And you don't feel like, okay, this guy knows a lot, but
They
like,
may have the knowledge, but they won't connect with you.
they don't connect with you.
Yeah.
Choose a mentor that connects with you, that you also resonate with them, right? Like, if even if they're not the most popular guru or things like that, dude, like doesn't matter. What works works. You know what I mean? So make it work for yourself and listen from only few people, because otherwise you're gonna go crazy.
Love that. Yeah, it's a little bit like you're trying to pick what's, when you're watching satellite TV. Oh, there's nothing on because there's 1,000 different choices. And if there's only a couple choices, it's a lot easier to figure out what you want to watch. So if you were to pick, the three things the people listening to this podcast that they can walk away from this episode with that you want them to take from this, what would the three things be?
Yeah. Socratic questioning, right? Make sure that you understand what are Socratic questions and use them in your daily life. Like, even if it sounds funny or if you sound funny in front of people, the people in your life, around your life, are going to ask you, like, why are you asking me this question? I never thought about that. Or your mom or your dad or your, boyfriend, girlfriend, doesn't matter. And start applying sales in real life. That's the second one. Dude, like, apply it to I don't know, have a conversation that expands the mind of your partner. Could be of your wife or your husband. Start asking them questions, apply it in their life. Apply it to pick up women. Like, you're gonna see how it works. And what would be the third one? Understand that there's a difference between patience and speed. That there's a big difference between, you have to be patient, but also you have to make decision fast.
Yeah,
right?
I love that, which is that that was a big thing for me, which also is also something I've started doing and have seen more success since then, which is lowering my threshold to take action, but being patient on the results of that action.
Yes.
That's a huge, great lesson there. So for anyone inspired by your journey, what's like, if someone's trying to just getting started in sales, or maybe they've been in it a while, or maybe they've just started listening and they're like, man, this is an interesting career path. What piece of advice would you give them regarding that?
Understand that you're in sales. If you don't like it or not, you're in sales. You have not realized that, but the moment that you go do an interview, you become a salesperson.
You're selling yourself.
You're selling yourself. The moment that you're convincing your husband to go on a trip, you're a salesperson. The moment you're convincing your girlfriend to do something that she doesn't really want to do, you're a salesperson. And every single time you're selling. So you're telling me, like, holy crap, like I hate sales. Like, what the hell are you saying? Because that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
You are selling, you just don't believe it right now, And people are not better than you. They just know something that you don't know right now. They're doing something you don't know right now. And also they believe something you don't currently believe in. So if you believe that every single day you're applying sales, and like how from Never Split the Difference, it says every moment is a negotiation, right? Chris Voss says that.
Yeah. It's the
right?
same idea. Yeah. You're selling something all the time.
So now that you know that, so how can I do those things better now? How can I actually convince my husband to go to that trip that I always wanted? Become better at sales. God damn it. How do I close that girl that I saw, I don't know, in a restaurant or in a bar? and how do I take her number and ultimately take her on a date, and and so on. That's sales.
And so on. Yeah.
I don't want to go too deep, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's how it is.
I love it. I love it. All right. Lastly, Esteban, where can our listeners, can they connect with you, find you? What are the places they can look for?
Yeah, you can go to Instagram at estenick. So my full name is actually Esteban Nicolas. So ESTENICK. That's my Instagram. I've always had it, even with my PlayStation gamer tag and Xbox gamer tag, and never change it.
I can't be using my Xbox gamer tag for my Instagram, but go ahead. Yeah.
And we also have a free community where they can do objections handling. They can go to objections handling shows. I believe right now it's one time a week at REIpreneurs. So REIpreneurs is this free mastermind that we have in school.com with K. That we're giving to real estate investors, wholesalers, agents, flippers, all this, to learn different skill sets: marketing, sales, recruiting, scaling, mindset, and so on. So this is the first ever mastermind to help you get with high-level thinkers, high-level doers, and people that really move the needle forward for free. It's going to be free for now, but
free for now.
For now, yeah.
Love that. Thanks so much, Esteban.
All right.
Thanks for being on. I'm Ian Ross, and this has been the Close More Sales Podcast.